So in my last video, I talked about all the factors that you should consider when you get an admissions offer from a college. By the way, thank you so much for the reception on that video. I really appreciate it. And in that video, I talked about having as many campus visits as possible, but I didn't talk about what you should ask during the campus tour. So I want to focus on that today. Now, this video is loaded with information, so please feel free to skip to the chapter that best fits your needs. Let's get started. So the first question that you should ask may already be answered for you by the tour guide themselves. But ask your tour guide directly, are you a student or do you work in admissions? This way you can properly frame all of your questions throughout the tour. If it's a student, you can ask them direct questions about their own experience because they're a student. Whereas for admissions, you can get an updated status on your application and maybe get some insight into where your application is at in the process. Either way, it's good to know who is guiding you through campus today and what their role is on campus. So your tour may start in student affairs or it may start in your academic quad. So for the academic quad, you should ask these questions. Number one, what is the newest building on campus? You want to ask this because this academic building most likely has the best equipment in there and the best studying rooms in there as well. Everything that they didn't have in the buildings that they built before are most likely in this one. How do I know this? Because when I got to campus, they just finished up a building and the alumni said, oh wait, we never had that in ours. And what do you know? Once I graduated, they finished a few buildings with things that I didn't have available to me. So as you're coming in, you need to know what building is the newest and what type of resources are you inheriting. Next, how many buildings have printers in them? This is crucial to know. For one, you're going to figure out what your studying spot is and what resources are in arm's reach. But two, let's say you forget to print out that assignment. You want to know which buildings have the printer in them so that you can run directly to that one. Now, don't ask how I figured that out, right? You live and you learn, but you want to know where your resources are at. Now, if it's a student that's guiding you, you can ask them, where do you study? And here's why you want to ask them that. Most likely they know where all the sleeper spots are, the places that are really good, but a lot of students don't know about them. And let me tell you, those spaces are going to help you tremendously when you're looking to study and get work done. Overall, where is the newest building with the newest equipment and which buildings have resources for you to take advantage of? Now, once you get to the residence halls, you want to ask these questions. Number one, is laundry included? Now, at this point in the tour, they may take you to the older residence halls and show you around first. Then they're going to take you to the newer ones. They want to get those oohs and ahs out of you, right? They want to show you the bottom of the totem pole and then show you the best of the best. So most likely in the cheaper residence halls, the laundry is not included, but in the more expensive ones, it is included. Because in the more expensive ones, you're paying a bigger price, so they're just throwing laundry in there with it. So the next thing you should ask is, what is the guest policy? How often can you have guests? When and what times? You see, each of your residence halls, they're going to close down at some point. Not meaning that you can't get in, but there's going to be security at the front door checking in everybody. And if you bring a guest that is not a student, they're going to have to put them on record as coming in. So you want to know how many times and how frequently you're allowed to have guests that are not students in your room, especially for big events like homecoming. I mean, my 21st was on homecoming. You're never going to get that footage unless I get paid for it. But all I'm saying is I needed to know what my guest policy was ahead of time so that I could tell my friends, hey, you're actually allowed to come over at this time on this day. So having all that information ahead of time is very key if you want to have some guests over. Another thing too, do residence halls allow emotional support animals? Number one, if you need that resource, it's good for you to know that it's available for you. And number two, just in case your roommate has an emotional support animal, if you happen to be allergic to that particular animal, you may want to figure that out ahead of time. And then I alluded to this one earlier, but how often is security in the building? Your safety comes first, right? So you want to know if the building is secure and how often there is personnel in the buildings to secure it. So those are some questions to consider. Now, once you get to the dining halls, you want to ask these questions. First off, how many dining halls are on campus? On top of that, how many non-dining halls have food in them? There's a big difference because some student buildings serve food. It may not be a dining hall, but they have food there. Because another thing you want to consider is with inclement weather, how often do the dining halls close? I don't know why I didn't think of this, but there was a snowstorm one day and all the dining halls were closed. But I did know which other buildings had food in them, so I was able to go there and get food at least. So knowing how many dining halls are on campus and how many places on campus have food is important for you to consider. Oh, and here's another sleeper question for you. Ask if your dining halls have take-home boxes. I found this out my senior year. Like, I was so upset because there were so many times that I wanted to take food home with me and I didn't know that I could do that. So ask if your dining halls have take-home boxes. Take food to your room. I'm telling you. And of course, if you have any dietary restrictions or things like that, you want to ask if they accommodate those, but also what type of options that they have available. So you want to know those things. So consider each of those questions during your campus tour. So here are a few questions you can ask when you get to the library. First off, when does it open and when does it close? It's good to have these hours in your back pocket, especially during the weeks of midterms and finals. This building is going to be the most popular place on campus. I'm telling you right now. So during one of my previous points when I was talking about academic buildings, you want to know where the study spots are and how often they are open. And the library is the most prominent one, so you want to know that offhand. But also, there's a lot that the library offers you. And my library had poster printing available. So I didn't have to go to Staples. I could just go to my library and get my poster printed. But you want to ask if this resource is free or how much it costs. I think mine was like only a couple of bucks, pretty cheap. But you want to ask these questions so that you know what resources you have available to you. Now, there's a few other buildings that you want to ask some questions about, and here they are. Number one, where is the financial aid / bursar's office at? At some point, you're going to have to pay your tuition bill, so you want to know where to pay it at. Now, obviously, there's a portal online that you pay it through, but if you need extra help, you want to know where the building is. And let me tell you something, it's much better to solve your issues by going to the place rather than trying to connect with them on the phone. But you also want to know where public safety is at on campus. Now, public safety may consist of your campus's own separate police force, or it may be the police force of the surrounding area as well included in there. Now, safety is number one. So it's good to know where this building is and who can help you in unfortunate times of need. And it's going to be overwhelming. There's a lot there on campus for you, but you're going to get the hang of it. You're going to get a flow. You're going to be completely fine. Take my advice as a template. It's not the thing that you should absolutely positively do, but it's a good starting place for you. So I wish you all good luck and success when you get on that campus. And that wraps up my advice. So let me know what you think about all the points that I spoke about. What chapter did you skip to? What did you find most helpful? Let me know. And if you want any more of my content, hit subscribe. Other than that, I'll see y'all soon. Take care.